Hey, man.
Oh, popping up the can. I'll do the same. Cheers. Wait, to the camera.
Cheers, brother. It's like at the end of every day I have to have a beer to just congratulate myself for surviving.
Late recording is not bad. It's just different vibe. Different mood.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as last week.
I hope you can't hear the boys screaming in the bath right now. They're just having a complete fucking meltdown. But
No, I can't hear them.
They'll be sleeping at some point. I don't know. I don't care. I'm in podcast mode now. I'm a podcaster. One thing I wanted to talk about actually briefly, because that was so annoying, is that, do you remember that tweet I did last week where for the first time in my life I went a little bit viral on Twitter, got 100,000 views, which is nice.
Yep.
In
Yeah,
this
it's pretty cool,
days and age. And I did like the content clickbait where I said I did a video for a meta ad where you can get like the cheapest traffic on the internet, which I think arguably I found an even cheaper one now on X.
Some people got angry at you, though.
But a few actually, like 2 or 3 out of like 700 were like, oh, that's just, it's just worldwide targeting or whatever. Basically, the key of the trick on Meta is that if you do worldwide targeting and website traffic, you can scrape, the bottom of the barrel of the traffic in terms of, where it comes from. But it comes from everywhere, to be honest. It's not like just 1 or 2 countries or like Southeast Asia or whatever. It's everywhere. But the thing I didn't like, it's not about the campaign in itself or the content in itself. It's like you do some testing. You want to share a little something to people, which some people might know about it, some people might not know about it, like whatever. Some people are learning, and you spend some time, like you do a tweet, then I go on Loom, I do a little Loom video, like 5 minutes, and then you like you exchange a follow for the content. That's fair enough. Everyone does that. And sometimes some people, not a lot, but like 2 or 3 were like, oh, that was a waste of my 5 minutes. Like this is rubbish or whatever. Like this shouldn't be allowed. Like super like strong stuff. Like I think I found I for the first time I tasted the nastiness of X. Those type of
Man, the first time.
Yeah, for the first time.
You're lucky.
And I was like, why is your problem? Like, why do you even engage with me? If you didn't like it, just move on. Like, why do you have to like make it? Why is it painful for you that you have to like spend time? And that particular guy did a tweet about it. I was like, oh, this guy did this thing, and like then he's trying to get the hype on him. Like that's what they jump on it. Like they're creating content to off the top of my content to try and like counteract it or whatever. And I was like, that's so sad. It was sad. Like those like 2 or 3, but particularly this one guy out of, it was like 800 people. I had to like manually send the Loom video to 800 people. It took me 3 days to do that. But I did it because there's daily limit on X. You can't send, more than, I don't know, a few hundred messages a day. And I had to catch up every time I could. But yeah, this one guy, I was like, just move on. Like if you don't like it, just move on. What's the issue? It was a bit. Yeah, it was a bit.
Yeah,
sad.
I mean, those people were jumping on it saying, "Oh, it's, you want to be optimizing towards a like a checkout or a conversion. If you're D2C, you're never going to drive any customers this way." But at the end of the day, you never said this is the cheapest conversions on the internet. You were like, this is the cheapest traffic. If people were stupid enough to think that cheap traffic would result in good conversions, then it's their fault. But for the reason that you were testing it in the first place, for the end, it makes sense. You want people from global.
Exactly. It was for traffic. And what I like about geeking on those kind of things is that, oh, here you go.
I thought it was early.
Hey Steve, welcome. How are you, man?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
All good, all good. That's a good transition to into talking about you, because I actually don't know. I know what you do now, but I don't really know the story. Like, how did it started? When did it start? And like, how did you get to where you are now? Like, if you could give us like a summary, that would be great. Because I'm actually curious.
So, started in the app space in 2011. Started making apps of my own. I taught myself how to code. I was running marketing for a startup in San Francisco, and so I just was doing it on the side. And I thought in 2013, I was like, you know what? I want to do a podcast. And I love listening to podcasts about apps, but there weren't that many app-related podcasts. And so I decided to say, F it. Let's start a podcast about apps and solely on apps, and let's see if I can learn from some of my heroes in the space to do this full time, take this little side hustle into a full-time business. So started interviewing. My first get was the co-founder of Shazam and the first CEO, and I remained friends with him, Chris Barton. So, and I built up, and that was like the first one that really tipped the scales. And Sylvain Cochet from Babbel, he's running Heptamen at the time, but he was literally my second guest. And so I've been able to remain friends with a lot of different people. But yeah, we started interviewing some of my heroes in the space, then built an audience, who then the audience started coming to me for marketing help. Now, my background was online marketing, like growth hacker, right? And so didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to learn from everybody. But 6 months after starting the podcast, there was a little bit of an audience that started, enough of an audience that started coming to me that I left my corporate job to do this full time. And so fast forward 10 years later, we have an app marketing agency specializing in ASO, some UA, and then monetization as well. And in 2015 is when I made the switch to be more YouTube focused. And I was still doing YouTube videos, but the podcast was like, oh, me learning. And then the YouTube was me sharing. So, but now I just go live on YouTube since the pandemic because I got lonely and I needed friends. And so I was like, I need to talk to people. And so I was like, forget the audio only, let's just do it on YouTube. And so like 2020, I just made the shift to no longer do just audio only podcasts and just go live on YouTube.
And for the background on how we met, because I really I chased you down for many years. I was when was it? It was like 2017, 2018. Starting my job at Depop, and never done ASO or ASA before that, because when I was like a few years back, I wasn't in charge of that. I was just doing paid social, and I found your channel on YouTube, and I started binging like literally all the videos from that time. And so I remember I was leaving some comments sometimes. I'm not really a commenter on YouTube, but sometimes when it's really worth it, I was like, fire emoji, like let's leave some fire emojis in there. And it was really it was really hard to find really good content on ASO and ASA at that time. And through watching your videos, I became like the expert at Depop for ASO and ASA. I was like, yeah, just thanks Steve, But fast forward to earlier this year, we were together at what was the name of the event? App Promotion Summit, I think it was.
Yoann, yeah, Promotion Summit in London, baby.
Promotion Summit in London.
You're the keynote. You're the first one.
I was doing a keynote. Yeah, I was doing a keynote. I was looking for you in the room, and I tweeted at you. I was on the table afterwards, and I was like, oh my god, he's in London. I was sweating. I was like, oh god, I can meet him now. Like, it's been a few years. I tweeted at you, and I think you replied, and then I saw you across the table, and I was like, it was almost like approaching when I was single, like approaching a girl or something. I was shy and everything.
That's risky, man.
Yeah, it was risky. Yeah.
Never meet your heroes.
Yeah. Wow. Steve, one other thing I wanted to start with is what do you think is the state of the app world these days, like in terms of I guess like in terms of like app creation and monetization? Is it like still on the up?
Yeah, I think it's definitely mature, right? I think we're in the the maturity phase. I think there's still room in the market. You know, there's a lot of apps I still work with that are recently launched and doing pretty well. And I think it's the misconception, you know, because I guess because I talk a lot about ASO, that you need ASO. Like, I think it's the foundation. Like, if you understand the basics, that's good enough. But I think the misconception is just, it's a funnel, right? It's any web funnel, right? And so it's not, ASO is free traffic, great, but it's also not the only source of traffic. And I've talked to, they're like, what channel should I focus on? And I talked to so many different people that some people are like Twitter ads, right? X ads. And some people are all about Meta, and some people are all about ASA. And so some people have even done it on Pinterest. And it's just like, or even Reddit. And so it's just like, you have to think about it as a funnel. And the go-to-market strategy is like, for me, the easiest go-to-market strategy is like, where are my consumers? And I think we talked about this during our live stream with Nude, but it was just like, go to where the fish are, right? Go fish where the fish are. And I think a lot of people make that mistake and always feel like, because I'll talk to a lot of people like, help me with ASO. I'm like, you got a meditation app, man. Like, yeah, there's nothing that I can do, because there's just so many big players in the game already that you have to think about beyond just ASO. So I want to make sure, and it could be just me because I talk a lot about ASO. So, you know, I'm filtering some of the people that I get to talk to.
Yeah, the level of saturation in some of the categories of apps is insane these days. Like, definitely mature. So you got to get clever elsewhere.
But if I was building an app today, I would always start in the niche, right? And I talk about, the analogy I use is like meditation or even sleep sounds, right? And so meditation, there's deep breathing or breathing exercises, and there's the app breath work that's done pretty well for themselves. And so I always start in the niche, and there are some really good keywords and category of apps with decent search volume, and so they're getting free traffic, and they're more niche of an app, right? So you think about like meditation. I don't know what you really want. Do you want like, you know, who do you want? I don't know really, but if I know like deep breathing or breathing exercises, I know exactly what you want. You might want the box breathing, you want pace breathing, right? And so the niche is where I like to start, and then you can always go up, Yoann and Jake, but like, you can't, you know, it's harder to start at the very top and then go down, or start at that very top and then try to compete with the rest of the players there. I prefer to just start in the niche, build my revenues, and then go up, because then you can just build up like more meditational stuff, but now you got a foothold on the breathing exercises front of things. And I've seen so many different apps that are so niche, and people tend to avoid it, but at the same time, they're just printing money. And if you're in the mindset of just printing money and you're bootstrapped, that's the route I would go. If you're trying to get VC and trying to go super huge, all right, go ahead, play with the big players there.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's it comes back to like finding your ICP, right, and just nailing that initial persona. You're building your product for a need. Like nobody has the need for like meditation,
right?
And again, and it's also like jobs to be done, right? People aren't hiring the meditation app to meditate; they're hiring it to de-stress, and then nobody has even the goal to de-stress. Someone they don't know they're stressed. So I think that's really interesting. And there's been a lot of apps even recently that I've worked with at the agency. They're trying to immediately come out and like be the do everything app.
Dude,
and
I know.
It's just so difficult when they go to market, exactly like you say, Steve. So they're like, put together a go-to-market strategy for this. You're like, I don't know where to start, because there's a million different angles that you guys are trying to attack. You just have to narrow it down.
Right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Do you see more apps that want to go bootstrap or VC these days, especially in this economy? And you know,
it could just be my audience, but a lot of the people I work with tend to be more bootstrap and entrepreneurial, and so I'm directly, you know, we work with a lot of big companies, but at the same time, like, the majority of the clients that we have are going to be bootstrap and founders. And so like, for my mission my mission is with the agency, like, to be the most affordable, most effective, right? And so like, because I know it's so hard to be an entrepreneur. I know what it's like, and it's just like, you go through so many peaks and valleys. You have a lot of self-doubt, and you're like, dude, how am I gonna, you know, that first year on my own, you know, I was just like, what is going on? I don't know how I'm gonna make money. And so I want to be that, but like, personally, it depends on your goals. I grew up in the Bay Area, right? I was born in Burma, Myanmar, came to the States when I was 6 years old, and been in the Bay Area ever since. And so I always had this mentality that you raise millions, sell for billions. And then as I started listening to more and more podcasts and started growing up, I was like, you know what? I want a lifestyle business. Who's to say that's the wrong type of business to build? I get to be with my family. I get to hang out. I get to drop off my kids. I got to pick up my daughter in an hour. You know, that's the ideal lifestyle I want versus trying to raise millions and then try to sell for billions. Because I've even handled clients who's raised good amount of money and then they have their own freaking problems, right? You think you raised $1 million and you're like, oh man, this is amazing. I'm upset. And you got a whole set of problems. And so, you know, one of the things I wanted to do was talk about the other side of raising money, the things that we think is like a great accomplishment. Here's the dark side of that. Here's the dark side of having $1 million business. You know what I mean? Like all the things that we think are so great, here's the other side that I've heard. And that's why I love, for me, with my podcast, it's just like, this is my time to learn and really engage and keeps me sharp. So I'm so glad you guys started this too. When I saw you were like thinking about this, you know, I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. But like, it's for me to learn and stay sharp because I don't know everything, but it also helps with that. And so I've taken this perspective of like this podcast, like whoever the guest is, I'm going to learn from that person and I'm going to try to squeeze out the best information, the most information out of this person too.
Squeeze out the juice. No, that's great. It's a win-win all around. Having this kind of platform, like you grow yourself, potentially an audience, and when you have like an agency like you, like it's like it drives leads and reputation and all of that, but you also learn at the same time and gives a platform for the person coming on. Like it's really like this like virtuous cycle.
You're missing the hidden benefit. You become a better listener for the wife. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, really engage with the wife.
Since I started, she keeps telling me, maybe we should do a podcast together about,
really?
Like, relationship. I'm like, oh
wow, that relationship podcast, that could go one of two ways.
It can go one of two ways.
There's no third way. It's only one of two.
The problem I completely agree with all of that, Steve, but the problem I find is that it's like keeping stuff in my brain is so difficult. So we'll have a great chat and I'll be like, oh my god, it's like so many like knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb, and I'll go through and I'll edit the thing. So of the two of us, I've listened to it about 1 million times.
Oh my god.
And then a week later I'm like, I can't remember anything out of that.
Dude, so that's why I like themes. So I just wait for the next person to tell me the same thing, and then I'm just like, okay, and it hits, right? And I'm like, okay, now I remember.
The second time you remember.
Exactly.
It comes back.
If it's just the first time, I'm like, I'm not sure I trust you, Jake. But then if you want to say something, I'm like, okay, there's something here.
Might be BS, but the second time is true. What I want to say, so you said, so for the other side, the people who are trying to build like a lifestyle business or Bootstrap app, what do you think is the best way to find the niche? Like, is there a way to like research the niche, and how do you get your first, I don't know, few hundreds installed?
Like,
is there like a playbook for that?
Great question. I actually wanted to create a video series about this. So number one, find the category that I found that has the highest conversion rates is, you guys want to take a guess? What do you got, Jake?
I'm going to say some kind of like adult dating.
Okay, I have no data on that one. You could be right on that one.
Oh man, I think it's like, is it?
Jake, you got to get off field. You just got to get off field.
So many of those things. There's so many of those things when you're in Sensatile looking at like the apps that are blowing up, and it's just all these random like sex chat, live chat things. There's so many of them. It's crazy. But I don't know about the conversion rate. Go on, Yo. What do you think? What's your guess?
So I've got a boring answer, maybe like weather app. Like those ones are always like kind of like the weather, or like photo filter, like photo editing.
So according to my data, you guys could be right. So I'm not saying you guys are wrong. Okay, I'm not doing that. But what I found is the mental health space. So I think it's a win-win, right? Like if you think about like rooted. Anya talked about this too on our podcast, so I'm not sharing anything private. But she was like, "Look, I went after Panic Attack because that one had the lower, it had lower traffic, but it had lower competition, right? She's bootstrapping it, and she's gone on to do over 3 million downloads. But she was talking about like going after that, and so you can imagine if somebody's searching for, let's just say, I don't know, feel better, calm, right? I know it's a generic term, but it's also branded. But let's say I'm searching for calm, like I might not have a higher intent, but if I'm searching for panic attack, boy, you better know I'm gonna probably subscribe. And so I would try to stay in that niche. One of my favorite tools to use is AppFollow, and so you can put whatever like generic term, like anxiety relief, for example, and then just pick out what I like to do. And I can show you guys if I want to share my screen, but I like to find, AppFollow has a great tool where you can tap on any app, and there's this little eye icon, and it'll give you a list of keywords. And then now you have the keyword volume. And what I found is you need, so one of our apps that we have, we rank number 1 for 2 keywords around search traffic score of 30. Okay. And it's built to $8,000 to $10,000 a month on autopilot. So when I was working with another client, they're like, "Hey, I have this app idea." And I was like, "That's a stupid idea," right? But when I went to AppFollow, I found this keyword and I was like, "Hey, actually there's something here." And it's got a search traffic of around 30. So I'm trying to find 2 phrases that are similar, right? Think App Masters 1 word, and Think App Masters with a space, 2 words. And so I found that for him. And I was like, "Dude, I don't know what I don't know, but I know nobody's paying attention to this keyword phrase in their title or subtitle. And it has enough volume." And all I knew was my app. I was like, my app, I think I can get you to number 1. And my app ranks number 1 for these similar traffic volume. So do you want to call your app that? And he's like, "Let's do it." And so we did, and then we got it to be number 1. I can share some of the strategies for that. We got it to be number 1, and now he's making about 5,000 to 6,000 with that app. And so it's more niche. It's in the ChatGPT space, but it's more niche, you know. And then we can now. What I'm trying to do with that app is just try to find. I wonder. Now I have no data on this. I wonder if I can go after keyword search traffic scores of 20 to 30 that have low difficulty that nobody's paying attention to, because any newbie ASO is going to pay attention to the big ones, and then just try to rank well for all of them. And then let's see if we can just build up enough little tiny keywords at that army, and let's see what that does to the downloads.
And so it sounds like there's the main. It's an obvious question, right? For maybe people that are out there that haven't done much ASO. I'm certainly not an expert. Title, subtitle is the place where you want that to be. And if you're in a search difficulty of something like that, you only need to be in those places. You haven't really got to think too much about anything else to do with that.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, I mean, we can pick one, right? Give me a category if you want. For those just watching on the YouTube, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. So we can just do as easy as like ChatGPT. So like, you know, we build for the outcome. Because there's a lot of ChatGPT apps that we work with. Build for the outcomes is what I said. You want to compete with the official, compete with Genie, or even Ask AI, go ahead, right? These guys have huge budgets and they're running massive UA campaigns, but I like to build for the outcome. And so I'm just going to keep scrolling and then try to find one that is going to start showing me the outcome. Spoiler alert, I'll just go with like AI writer, right? I'm like, oh, cool, AI writer. Okay, let me start with that. So here, I did find one, AI writer. It's like 2,000 reviews. Okay, cool. Email writing. Then I'm going to click this little eye icon, and then it's going to, AppFollow is going to do all the keyword research. Now, what I believe, no insider data, AppFollow is using the Apple Search Ads API. And if you were trying to run Apple Search Ads for these apps, you would get this. The Apple would be like suggesting these keywords. So I think it's the right metadata that they have. And now I'm trying to find the right keywords around that. Like what other things that people are not paying attention to. So it could be like, I know essay writers one, paragraph writers another one, these other keywords. And then I can always just go up to ChatGPT. But I started off with that, build some revenues, and then go up. Funnel.
That's awesome. And when do you think about monetization? Straight away, literally from the launch of the app, or after a few installs?
Bro, I would love your opinion on this too. My opinion is straight away. I just like, I think for me, it's more of it's the right signal to look for if I'm really serving a real need, right? Because if I ask you like, hey, Yoann, you want to do an agency together? Let's just do everything for free. You'd be like, what the hell? How are we going to make money? I get it. There's time and all that stuff. But like, I've seen so many app developers pour all their heart and energy and like tens of thousands of dollars in making a great product and like not really focusing on the niche. What is their actual go-to-market strategy and what is their monetization, right? And then I'm like, dude, it's a beautiful app, but I also have worked with a bunch of different apps that are the ugliest UI, UX that you'll ever experience. But because they're niche and they're ranking for the right keywords, they're making money, right? And I'm like,
The printing.
yeah, they're printing it. And so, you know, I think right off the bat, because then I want the right signals that this is something that people want.
I agree. Because I was thinking, how do you do it afterwards anyway? Because it's like you start and then you'll insert a paywall or something. Like it feels weird. And if you're confident about the niche you're serving, there's no reason why having subscription or whatever, one-off payment.
You want an easy path to like 1-star reviews?
Yeah.
Take a free product that you've had for years for free. Make it paid. Easiest path to 1-star reviews. We dealt with it. We're dealing with this right now. It's like, you know, we bought this app and it's just like, it was free with an in-app purchase for the longest time. No new features, by the way. Put an onboarding experience, charged $60, went from $3 one time to $60 per year. 10x the revenues, but you also get people, because it's been around for a long time, people are like, this app used to be free, what the hell happened, right? And these are like, we're only doing it to like new downloads. We're not even doing it to like people who've had the app and been using it for years. We're not forcing the paywall on them, but like for those who deleted and downloaded, they're like, so we're getting 1 stars and being like, this used to be free, what the hell happened? So
yeah, and I think if you're used to not paying for something, and naturally you don't value it. Almost, you don't think that you think you value it, but naturally you don't. It's the same when people ask the surveys like, would you pay for this product? And people are probably going to say no, but even the people that say yes, when it comes to it, they're not going to pay for the damn thing because they're used to having it for free.
I had one case study. So we have this one app that has 5 million monthly active users, 1 million organic downloads per month, and they finally added the paywall to their onboarding, and they're like, oh, this is great. We're making more money. This wasn't even a subscription yet. This is just in-app purchases. They had a bunch of things you can buy, right? And so, great, we're making more money. Wow. Guess what happened to the retention too? It went up, because I feel like, like people focus more on like all this, I'm gonna hate on the product-led growth side of things. I just think that's important once you've sort of found product market fit. Like product-led growth happens when you sort of hit a revenue point, in my opinion, because in the beginning, if you're not hitting at that revenue point, well, you should be focused on the onboarding, the paywall. Now, when our app, like we're at 8 to 10, and I'm like, okay, good. Now it's like, okay, what new features can we build to grow it? Because I think the conception that most people have is, if I build these new features, they will come. And I'm like, no, if I make more money, then I have enough resources to build you the features that hopefully get them to come or force them to stay, right? So, that's just my philosophy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to the to having a paid app, right, what is maybe your opinion, but also from the numbers and the things that you've seen, when you have an app where you can't try anything, all you know about it is what you read on the App Store, and you have to subscribe or even start a free trial to see anything, versus you get like limited or no limited.
Right. So I have data on this. Okay.
What works?
One of my apps. So we went. It's a hard paywall, so there's no X, Jake. Okay. Yeah, you got an onboarding, free to download. You have an onboarding. You hit with the paywall. You either have to pay or just leave the app, right? And we were like, okay, cool. We launched with that. I was against it, by the way. I was like, this is scammy. I don't like it. But this is how my co-founder built it. We launched it, went instantly 1 to 10,000. I was like, oh, this is great. Okay. And now like we put an X in there, and the revenues dropped in half, like literally dropped in half. Now it could be short-sighted for us. Okay. Could be short-sighted. But I also think if you're just new, you should test a hard paywall, because it forces people, and then you can really see if you're building something cool, right? Because hard paywalls tend to have higher trial activation rates, right? But a friend of mine, Rich, he tested hard paywall versus locked content, because he was giving away so much free content in his app. And I was like, bro, just lock more shiznit up. And so he tested the comparison both. Hard paywall was slightly better, but not enough for him to want to do a hard paywall. So I would say, like I use AppFollow and they might charge me soon, but I don't pay for them, and I pay for a lot of ASO tools. But if we don't have to pay for the features we love, we're never gonna pay, even if we love the app, right? And so that's the fine balance I would do, is try to lock up more features. And then I shared this on LinkedIn today, but like the Zero app, and I'll tell you guys, I love the Zero app. It's literally right here, right? Like it's
me
right,
too.
Right.
Yeah. I use it almost every day as well.
Do you pay?
Yeah.
Do you pay, Yoann?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, I don't either. I love the app, by the way.
It does everything that I need to do. I just press fasting and then I press stop and that's it. It just records everything. Like, what do I need to pay for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now you and I probably using it for a long time, so we didn't experience this, but I re-downloaded again for one of my clients because they're a competitor of them, and I noticed that they have a hard paywall. Right. And during the onboarding, they have all the best practices. They're engaging me. They ask for push notifications, all that stuff. And then, but when I hit the paywall, it's hard. I got to get out or leave. Right. And then, and so I was like, okay, fine, I'll get out. Right. So I got out. Literally 5 minutes later, they sent me a push notification being like, hey, now you can access Zero for free. So I tapped on that push notification. I then get the same paywall, but now there's an X. And then I can hit X off of that. And then so I thought that was an interesting fine balance between the two.
Yeah.
And that's one strategy that I do want to test out with my hard paywall, is that like, okay, cool. People who buy during the onboarding. So test that onboarding, have a hard paywall,
really
and then try that. But they're huge, man. And I was like, look, this is what a Bootstrap growth hacker, us three would be trying to do, but they're already huge. And I think they're probably finding that, their subscription revenue is low because, you and I are like, I got it. It's just the timer. Like I got everything I need.
No, but that's the difference between maybe like maybe then I don't know Zero, the founding and everything, but it's kind of the difference between VC and Bootstrap. It's like the Bootstrap person would do that shit, would do the out paywall and find a way to use push notification to bring you back and give you something soft afterwards.
Right.
But first, we're gonna make sure that if you can pay, let's just make sure that you can pay first.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like recently, Jake and I were looking at the way we're managing our newsletter with the podcast.
Yep.
And we're using Beehive. It's one of these this new tool. It's really cool, actually. And we're like, fuck this, it's too expensive. Let's cancel it for now because we're not big enough yet that it matters that much. And as I hit it's not an app, it's on the website, but it was a similar story. I hit cancel, and then they were like, before canceling, let us give you 3 months for free. For 3 months for the price of one. Wow. So that brings us to the end of the year. It slashes the cost by 2/3. And I was like, well, that price I'll stay. That's fine.
Dude, you know how many times I've done that with Audible? I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't cancel, but like I say, it was another it's like strategies when people are to check if they're gonna pay, like you said, with the delayed push notification, or trying to get them to stay when they're canceling because it's a price thing, and you're keeping the smaller revenue, but you're keeping the customer for longer.
Yeah.
And it's clever because in 3 months we might be bigger, and at that point we can pay that price.
There you go.
We don't care. Maybe
you will be
in 3
bigger
months' time. So,
yes, sir.
So then
Having me on is just gonna blow up. All right, you don't know.
I mean that's the biggest growth hack.
We're going to hold you to that. The flip side to that, right, is that if you say, it'd be interesting to see the retention. Like, what's the retention of the people that almost leave and they're like sucked in with, I'll just pay $2 for 3 months? Because I'm assuming you're at the end of that period, they're going to say, you now need to go back to paying full price.
Right.
And at that point, we'll be used to not paying full price. So you're back in a worse position because you've had it for cheaper. You know they can do it for cheaper, but you're like, fuck you, I don't want that.
Right.
So it's interesting. I think those cart abandonment paywalls, I guess you could call it, is pretty cool. Pretty interesting.
One of my friends did that, where he was like, if you cancel a trial, you will get a push notification he tries to win them back. And so he sends a push notification with the 50% offer, and he's starting to see good numbers through that. Now, it's not a super high conversion rate, and according to my data, it's roughly around a 4 to 5% conversion rate from actually push to actual paid customer. But it's an interesting strategy. And I think, I think we as apps need to learn from games and the e-commerce brands, like cart abandonment type of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I think my internet's so slow, Yoann.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I
I guess
apologize.
if you that's right.
So
If you're going
no, it's
into
okay.
if you're doing a 7-day free trial, then I feel like you got to be damn sure that that person is going to find value in 5 days, because that's probably when they've set their reminder in their phone to like cancel this thing they've just signed up for.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I think, in my opinion, if you're doing a free trial period, it needs to be long enough that that person gets hooked on that. And I don't really often see that. I don't know about you, Steve. Like, what the average length of a free trial is, like 7 to 14 days, right? Do you think that's long enough to get someone hooked into an app?
Yeah, I mean, so this was a little bit dated, but I have a community that I run too, and they were telling me that they've tested 14, they've tested 30, and 7 days seems to be the most ideal. So I think 7 is good enough, right? And I think if you're solving a real problem, I had one client where they were doing one monthly plan with a 30-day trial. Okay, I was like, let's do a yearly one, and let's remove the trial on the monthly, and let's give it a 7-day trial on the yearly. So the monthly was $15, the yearly is about $69, right? When we made that change to the paywall, immediate boost in the revenues, and we didn't see any cancel. So obviously we're making more money up front right now, and so that's why it helps with the immediate boost. But yeah, like trial activation start rate went down a little bit, but it made up for it in the total overall revenues. Because I think, for me, like when I think about trials, I try to give the trial in the most ideal plan, the highest LTV plan. And that could be weekly for some apps, but most apps will be yearly, right? And so I will remove trials from all the other plans. I like to have 3 plans, and I'll remove the trials from all the other plans and only have the yearly be the one that we're like, okay, cool, you get the trial. Because I think, as long as the metrics make sense, you're the only one. Monthly, it's like, based on my numbers, about 3 months, right? So if I'm charging $15 a month, that's $45 LTV. Shoot, if I can get one person to if I have more people to buy the annual for $69, that just increased my LTV of that customer too.
Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
My take on the 7-day trial is that it's not based on data. It's just, for me, the logic is that if you can't get value to someone in 7 days, like how long do you need for them to experience the app, So
there is data
I
for
feel
that.
like there's some.
It's adjusted there.
No, there's definitely data. I was just
yeah. That's why I'm like, you have a short window of time to like try to get users to engage and then pay. Like
yeah. I was when you were talking, I was thinking about these new the AI apps as well that are popping up at the moment. You might have seen them because I think they're from the US. They're all about. Have you heard the term Riz?
Yes, bro. My son told me about that.
Yeah, what's the definition of Riz? Having Riz, it's like you can chat up girls or boys. Is that
I think
you
it's
can chat?
I think it's short for charisma.
Is that what the definition is?
I think it's short for charisma, and then is Riz.
Charisma.
So you got charisma, you got game, bro. So that's what I hear from the teenagers.
Got game, yeah. So I've seen these apps, like they're based on AI, so it's probably like a layer on top of ChatGPT and stuff, and they're like they must be doing a killing right now with the teens and like the youth out there. And what they do, just for the people listening or watching, is that they plug the AI to read your conversation with someone you're trying to seduce, and will give you the chat up lines basically to get to your goal, to get to the next phase.
And that's pretty.
They're charging. I don't know. Like they've got like
have their flow.
they're doing a kill, but on TikTok it works.
Yes,
a charm.
Yeah,
you've got their flow.
Yeah, I've got their app.
So I was wondering if you've seen that recently, and nice.
That's building for the outcome, right? It's ChatGPT.
Is that like a
but it's a dating assistant, right? Yeah. Like, so that's building for the outcome. So yeah, I mean, there's AI boyfriend, AI friend, AI girlfriend. There's all these AI things coming up right now.
Yeah. Is that the latest kind of trend that you've seen in like the app kind of ecosystem right now with the AI and
Absolutely, man.
chatting up.
Everybody's
people.
got an AI
Yeah.
app that they're building. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I had this, there was a couple of keywords around AI, and I was just like, man, I want to build this app and couldn't build it, but like I knew there's like so much competition. Yeah, I think AI is definitely here to stay for all this stuff.
Yeah.
Who's ranking number one right now in the App Store for AI?
Just AI in general? That's a good question, Jake.
Yeah, literally just AI. It's gonna be the most competitive.
Oh shit! You'd be surprised. You guys got any guesses? Like ChatGPT official app,
No
or
idea. No idea.
it's
Yeah. Is there an app for ChatGPT? Yeah, ChatGPT.
yeah, the
then.
ChatGPT has. No, it's not.
I'm gonna say
I
Uber.
steered you around the wrong direction.
Oh,
It's
right.
Ask AI. They're the number one for AI. So it's Ask AI, not even
Ask
ChatGPT.
AI.
Yeah, not even ChatGPT has it.
Interesting.
Wow.
And so, Steve, in your opinion, right, if we were going to do like a tear down of this, like, what do you think they have done to secure themselves in that position above all of that competition, above
Oh,
even
yeah.
ChatGPT?
All right. So I believe
Mm.
I have some anecdotal data on this. Look, using some keyword installs, these type of campaigns, I can almost get any app with any keyword into the top 10. Now, I believe what makes the difference between all these ones, one, obviously keyword optimization. Everybody has AI in their title, right? Two, I believe it's download velocity. So I know Ask is doing a lot of, they're probably doing a lot of UA. Lastly, and I do have data to support this, I think it's revenues. And so, to go full circle on this, how should you look? Because we had one client, we finally got them to be number one for a high converting keyword, meaning high converting in terms of sales. They then swapped out from Apple in-app purchases to Stripe. So great business decision, right? Makes sense. So they're then charging by Stripe, but their App Store Connect revenues went from 100,000 plus a month all the way to pretty much 5, right? Like literally, doop. And then around the same time, no changes to the title, right? That keyword is in the title. No changes to ASO. That keyword ranking dropped. And then I've seen other apps where one of my other clients, we were number 4 for this keyword. And then we turned on, the paywall, we had free, monthly, and yearly. Those are the buttons. Guess what everybody's tapping? Free. Like, literally remove the free option. You guys have to watch the visuals, so I'm using my hands. But we removed the free option, and then we started making money now. And then they went from 4 to number 2, not doing anything from an ASO perspective. So I feel like it is, once you get to the top chart, like top 3, I think it's just a different algorithm. And I feel like Apple weights revenue a little bit higher and download velocity once you're bidding for the first 3 spots.
Yeah, it would make sense though, because they'll make more money,
Yeah,
Apple,
exactly.
by putting the app that generates the more money for them.
Yeah.
Do they still take 30%? Is that the revenue they take?
It's 15 for if you're under a million
15.
a year. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty, if you ever move apps and you sell an app, you lose that 15%. So even if you're not at $1 million a year, so yeah, kind of sucks. Like Calm literally could put meditation in their title and probably get to number 1, but they don't care.
Yeah, because it's just called Calm, right?
Yeah, they don't do anything.
No, that's ego. It's just they just have a big ego. They just don't wanna. They don't want to do the ASO stuff.
They don't.
They're too big already.
Yeah, they really don't.
I mean, I would imagine anyone searching for meditation app is looking for a Calm competitor by now. It's like everyone's tried that app. They want something else. Interesting. So what was that tool you were just using this, Steve? Was
Oh, yeah, let's put it back. So you guys have to watch the YouTube. It's called AppFollow. I love it.
that? Oh, that was AppFollow again.
Yeah.
And that's free on the free tier.
Yeah. Sorry, AppFollow. Never charge me,
Wow,
please. I
thanks.
love you guys. I'll keep talking about you. But yeah, you can look at it.
They should give you an affiliate link, to be honest, because after 10 years, you
That's
probably
true.
send them like thousands of customers.
That's
Like
true.
thousands.
Well, send it to Yoann and Jake, okay? Send my affiliate fee to Yoann and Jake. Well, look, they put Calm did sleep and meditation in the UK though. I just did UK, so maybe they're testing ASO in the UK.
Yeah, they're struggling in the UK. They're struggling. So
They're
they
struggling.
Need to, they need to
Oh, look,
pump up,
Canada, they're number
pump
1.
up the
See?
rankings.
Maybe we'll push them, man. Mark
yeah.
this date. Canada #1. They have sleep and meditation in their title.
Yeah.
So on that point, Steve, something I've
Yeah.
often wondered about ASO is
Yeah.
if you're doing well and you're happy with your rankings, so you climbed a bit and let's say you're like number 20 and you can't get up any further. Is there then a risk of completely changing, say, your title and just trashing it and falling completely down the rankings? And how do you kind of mitigate that risk? Because it feels like it's such a channel where you have to roll the dice, right? You have to make a big play.
Yep.
And it could backfire on you. And, you know, what's the best way to kind of manage that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's say if you're, look, I believe if you're not in the top 3, it doesn't even matter. There's no, that's my opinion though. I don't have a lot of data to back this up. Like there's no key difference between like 6 and 50, in my opinion, right? Or 10 and 50. Maybe there's a thing. So like, unless it's like a category where there's going to be multiple apps, like dating, right? Where you have 5 apps and you have a folder of these apps, then I believe that you have to be top 3. So the way to mitigate is the US App Store, and I know the UK does, I think, a couple of different localization, but the US App Store actually has 9 different localization. And we do have data that says that they are being supported by the US rankings. And so the way to mitigate it would be to, one, start slowly. You can do one of 2 things, right? Like let's say you can't break the top 20. I try to find a lower competition keyword, right? And then I just move it up. But you don't want to lose it, right? So you like removed it from the US title. Now you want to put it in the US subtitle and the Spanish Mexico title, right? So that helps you mitigate that. Because I have some data, this is a couple of years back, where I repeated the same keyword in the US subtitle and the Spanish Mexico title, and we saw a bump in the rankings, right? Because I think title and subtitle have the highest weight. Like, don't even mess around with it. And frankly, if you're going to be Bootstrap, I would just say call your app the meditation app. You know, I just looked at an app called the mindfulness app, right? Like, that's it. That's it. It's just completely ASO gamed, and that's it. And so I think, you know, Headspace and Calm kind of did that in a way, right? And so that's how I would do it if I was trying to be Bootstrapped and I didn't want to spend a lot on UA. It's just call your app with do keyword research, find the low difficulty one, and just call it whatever the app is. And the benefit too, Jake, is if there's actually Google web search volume for, let's say, meditation app or whatever app, right? You can actually get traffic through that. So one of the clients that we worked with, he ranks #1 on Google. I think he's okay. We shared this publicly for Geometry Solver, right? And we helped him go from like $1 a day to all the way to now he's doing pretty well. I'll let him share his numbers. But at the time of the recording, it was about $1 a day to 17, and then to I think it was like $50 a day, right? Just optimizing the paywall. He's already getting downloads, so he's ranking #1 on the App Store for Geometry Solver. But then we ran some different hacks, and then I was like, dude, you went from 50 downloads a day to 200 downloads a day. Where's all this traffic coming from? And when I looked within App Store Connect, it was like web refer. Who's this web refer? Oh, Google. I was like, what? And so you literally just search for Geometry Solver on Google. He's #1. Yeah. And so don't ignore the web. Don't just think ASO on the App Store ASO. Think also on the web, and calling it by whatever your keyword that you're trying to target. As long as there's volume on both stores or both places, you should get a pretty high ranking for both.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
That's really cool. Yeah, because on the Google Play Store, they use that data to show apps.
Yep.
On Google searches. So yeah, that makes sense. And also they show Apple apps too. I don't think it's just restricted to Google.
Oh yeah,
Play,
it depends on your platform. Like it's usually mobile searches.
iOS apps.
Yeah. Yeah, it really depends if you're on Android or iPhone. But they will show iPhone apps too. Especially maybe they have it on like device, like if I'm on Mac.
Nice. I wanted to ask you, like you must have, maybe not, because I know you got the agency and you work with a lot of apps, but do you yourself have a lot of apps?
Not many that make money. Dude, okay, look, one app, okay, look, this ASO shit it works, okay? One app, it was a motivational quote app, okay? Just call it that. And because there's so many of these type of apps. Yeah. And I finally found a keyword that had traffic. Yeah. And so I renamed it, everything with that. I did my magic. We're finally #1 for that keyword, that phrase. And we've made $500 within the past like 2 weeks, and it is the most proud $500 I've made. But it goes to show you, like, it was just sitting there, and I was just like, okay, fudge it, like, I got to change this app name. And I changed the app name. And now that I have downloads, I'm like, okay, I'm going like, how can I charge more? Because motivational apps, I can only charge $20 a year. You know, like that's the price that people have set. So I was like, okay, well, I could add more features like a to-do list or a journal. And if I get to the journal realm, well, I can charge like $50, $60 a year, right? So step one, get downloads through whatever means possible. And then I would say one that is actually making money, but we have a developer that I just hired a couple of months ago, and we're in the midst of building out. That's 2024, my friend.
Yeah.
I want to play pickleball all day and just make money. That's the goal.
And just sprint on the side.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
I mean, because I was asking that because you've got so much knowledge and access to people that you've spoke to, and like you're in the weeds every week on, like, you know what's happening, right?
Yeah.
So like my second question was like, what are for people who feel like they want to go into this journey or try bootstrapping an app. They've got ideas, but they don't really know how to do it. You just mentioned a developer. Like, is that the prerequisite, like having at least like one guy who knows how to code, or can you learn yourself? Like, I know the no code, low code space is improving, you know, over the last few years. Like, is it doable, or do you still need like kind of to be a team of two, I guess, like a developer and maybe more like a growth marketer, and
right,
vice versa?
I mean, knowing how to code, right? I coded my own very first apps. I did all the coding. I wouldn't suggest that. I would find a developer. I think building is, in my opinion, the easiest thing to do. So you can buy templates. You know, I bought a template through this builder. It's called Corona, but they were built on JavaScript and Lua, so I understood that language versus like Objective-C at the time. And so I bought a template. It was like a photo gallery template. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I can make this into a flashcard app. So it was like, they already had a swiping mechanism built in place, and I just modified it so that if you tap, you know, up or bottom, it would make a sound, essentially, right? And that was the modification I made. So start with a template. There's all these templates out there too. Start with the template, hire a developer, modify it to your liking, and then just go, right? If you found a nice niche, just go. A friend of mine did a adult coloring book, and he said he bought a template. He shared it on YouTube publicly, but he said he just bought a template, and that's what it is. And, you know, obviously the adult coloring book, he has his own coloring book. Yeah. So, yeah.
Nice.
You don't need a full-time developer. Like,
Nice.
We have access to like worldwide talent.
Exactly. Yeah. Projects. You can hire people on projects and stuff. Like the reason I'm saying this, because I discovered that my brother is a full-time, like a full stack developer, so I can tap into him for apps. So like all this discussion we had with you today, I'm like, maybe I should go do a meditation app with him next.
Maybe you should talk to your brother more. You just discovered this.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I know. I said it. I took the risky route. No, I knew he was a developer, but you know, I never thought that we could work together, because he's got a full-time job and I've got a full-time job. But you know, I think we could combine. But we spoke about this in the episode where you showed up for your cameo. We spoke about the game that we're launching, and actually,
nice.
Everything that we spoke about made me think again about maybe monetization and things like that. But I don't think it's applicable to what we're doing. We're doing a virus, like, you know, this game Plague. I think it's been used like 1 billion times. You know, like you need to spread the virus across the world.
Plague Inc. Right?
It's Plague Inc. It's huge on the App Store. It's been there for years. They must have made a lot of money. We're doing a real life version of that, where you have to infect your friends with a QR code within the app, and that gives them access to the app. You can't play the app if you don't get infected. So it's like kind of creates FOMO as well at the same time. But it's I don't know if we could monetize that. I had this discussion with my brother. I was like, how do we monetize that stuff? I'm like, we don't. We just get millions of users. That's the idea. But I don't know. You might have a different opinion.
No, I mean,
Yeah, it's just for fun.
yeah.
We'll
If it's
see.
just for fun, it's just for fun.
I think we're coming up to the end of the hour, and I don't want to take too much of your time.
Sure.
So
Where can people find more about you? Where's the best place for people to go to consume your content? And I must say, I know Yo said at the start about being a big fan. Whenever I am building an ASA campaign, I go back to your videos on like
thanks,
ASA
bro.
campaign structure. So, you know,
Thanks
we're
bro.
giving you a few
Appreciate
thousand views on those over the years.
that. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, it's just appmasters.com, or just check out our YouTube channel, and it's youtube.com/appmasters. But I want to congratulate you guys, man. I think it's going to be awesome. You know, having done content, you know, for like 10 plus years now, I think I want to commend you guys on just continuing. You know, I have a saying that like, I think beginning is easy and people get caught up on it, but I'm like, okay, let's just say hard. But like continuing is even harder. And the fact that you guys have been able to just consistently publish these episodes, like that's kudos to you, man. So congratulations to you guys.
thanks.
What sound
Thank you.
effect are we going to get?
Oh, dude, I was looking for one. Okay, here you go. It should be this one, really, because you guys didn't say anything.
I saw you looking down. I was like, I'm going to wait for him to do the sound effect. But no, think about it. It's definitely brutal. It's definitely more brutal than you think. When people are like, consistency is key, and when you're not doing it, like, oh, it's fucking easy to just put something out there. But it can be brutal. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be doing it on my own. I must say, it definitely halves the load when you're
Jake.
doing it as a two. So we commend you for doing it on
Thank
your
you,
own.
man. Well, Jake, like the
Yeah.
thing that I said was, I did all the editing in the very beginning, dude, and then I had one guy who would, after every question, just say and then answer it. And I was like editing that podcast. I was deleting all that shiznit for him, and literally 30 minutes of editing. I'm like 5 minutes into the episode, and then after that, I was like, screw it. I don't care anymore. Very light editing. Just throw it up, take the file, download, throw it up, you know, put some intro music, and that's it. Because otherwise, I'm going to kill myself and I'm going to stop creating this content.
Yeah.
So I was just like, forget it. That's why we went live. And we don't, like, I'm like, do you edit? I'm like, nope. Like, keep it real, man. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe we need to do that. When we first started, the what we said we were going to do was like just harness AI to do everything and not do a single second of editing ourselves. But now we just edit everything. And instead of a guy saying after every question, I have Yoann's microphone noises every time he moves the damn thing.
Dude, yes. He needs a stand. You need to get him a stand, man. Yeah, I hear it too. This guy.
I thought it was cooler to have to hold it. I wanted to be different, but apparently
You could
it's
be
making,
different, still have a
noise, so-
stand, you know, like just have a stand, you know, so you don't have to hold the mic. Well, you want to be like a rapper, man? I know you love rap. You want to be a rapper? Is that why you got the mic on?
I
Yeah.
want to go like this. Hold it upside down. Yeah, I just wanted to create a little style, but you know, apparently it's screwing up the sound.
No, it's not. We just need to wait for like Riverside or Squadcast or Descript to come out with the mic noise remover, because none of them seem to be good at doing that. So there we go.
Yeah,
Or
keep
maybe we need to
keep
make
the
an app for
ums. Just remove keep the ums. Just remove the mic sounds. Come on, like you can.
But
remove
that's,
the ums.
I think that's definitely one good thing about doing this, and you've probably seen the same, Steve, is that I hope now that I say far less ums on these things than I did when we
Yes.
first started doing the thing. And I think in my general life now, when I'm giving a presentation, I'm saying a lot less.
Yeah. I tried
Yeah.
so hard.
Lots
I
of
got my son to
Pauses.
stop.
You just keep quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Keep quiet. That's it. Don't say it. Just silence. Yeah. But I bet you won't find me saying, except for that one thing, that joke.
Yeah, what were you going to say? You got your son to stop. That sounded interesting.
Yeah, he was like 6 years old, and I was like, stop saying ums. He's like, never, don't. And he just paused. And so he was never doing it, and now he's a teenager, and he says all the freaking time. So it's like, forget it. It's useless. Kids are useless. Don't start actually parenting until they're like 10, 11.
That's good to know. When you were saying that, I was like, if he says that worked, I'm going to go and start doing that right now with my daughter. But if it's a waste of time, I'm just going to leave.
It's a waste of time.
Great advice, Steve.
You're welcome. Thanks
Yep.
for having me, guys.
Thank you very much, Steve. Have a great day, and yeah, we'll do this again. I'll have you on again for
Anytime.
part 2 at some point.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's been awesome.
Peace.